we talked last time that for every hour that you receive of the CECL funding, it's about you get $29.50. When you look at 6 hours a day of support, even though you get $29.50, there's employer costs, and we're going to get right into the employer costs a little later. But there's WorkSafe BC, employment insurance, those kind of things. You're working on a 30 versus a 31 day, so you have to allow for that, and other expenses and stuff. So that are mandatory. So this is the bare bone mandatory expenses, which also includes on the right side, you'll see bookkeeping expenses of $250 a month, and facilitation recruitment. So we've kind of kept this as kind of the standard baseline, and so this is the max you could pay if you need 6 hours a day, and you get 6 hours a day. You're pretty much paying $22.50 per hour, right? So that's if you don't need anything else. That means that you're not needing an extra hour or two from time to time or anything. This is maxing you out on the 6 hours a day. So along the bottom, you can switch over, and what I put together is that same 6 hours a day. If you need to be able to stretch it out, because you need at least 7 hours a day, and you weren't able to get that 7 hours a day through the process, what we've been able to work out is that it would be approximately $19 an hour that you could pay someone. So it's bringing it down from the $22.50 to the $19, and that you can see here that stretches you out a little bit. Now you're able to get 7 hours a day. If you look on the right side, even with that, you're still down a little bit if you can. You're looking at the surplus one more over. Yeah, so it's about $125 surplus. Surpluses are important to have a little bit of cushion,
yes,
to allow yourself a few extra hours from time to time. But as it accumulates every month, right, Fernando, that if you need it for letting someone go and need to pay severance pay and things like that, it's a little bit of cushion that allows you for your emergencies, right?
So we spoke a little bit about this last time, but what is the overall amount that you're able to carry over as a surplus fund?
So you're allowed to keep up to 1 month surplus. So in this particular case, if you go to the top of 6 hours, you're actually able to have $5,310 if you go to the right a little bit. So that's the CECL, right? So that's the amount that you get every month. So that's the amount you're allowed to keep for 1 extra month.
Right.
Our general recommendation is keeping half of that, right? Because that will cover a couple weeks of severance pay if you need to and stuff. You want to pay your employees the best you can and stuff, so you're not wanting to keep more than half. I think half is a good amount.
Right.
So this was taking the same 6 hours a day and paying a little bit less than paying $19 an hour, which now I would say the $18 to $19 an hour is generally what is the going rate when someone's starting off these days with an agency.
What's the max rate that you've heard of what people might pay?
Around $20, $22 an hour actually. Somebody's agency can be getting close to 23. So
right.
So this allows you to do that. So again, it depends on the kind of attendant that you're looking for. Yep. Do they need to be expert in these certain areas and with certain abilities and stuff? Then you're going to have to pay dollars for that, right?
Yeah, for example, I think we spoke about the some ventilator experience.
Right. So, somebody on a ventilator may need somebody 24 hours. Well, 6 hours from the health authority would not be enough. For someone to do a live-in position, generally at a very minimum, you need 8 hours a day to do that. And even then, it's difficult. If you're on a vent, most people would be getting 10, 12, and 14 hours a day because obviously the person may need to be awake a bit more in the night time and things like that. So it'll always vary depending on the individual, but again, we talked about it before. There's no cap on the hours. That is something you negotiate with your case manager and your
Yes.
health authority. So let's carry on moving forward. So this gave us an extra hour, that particular one, $18 an hour. But if somebody needed really more like 8 hours a day instead, we were able to make some adjustments and paid $16.50 an hour. And that you can see, you can stretch it out an additional 2 hours to do that, right? So you could either put all those 2 hours on the same day, right, to make it 8 hours, or maybe you need to stretch, move it around depending on your needs, right?
Okay.
And on this particular scenario, if you look to the right again, the surplus here, going a little bit, is $175, so a month. So again, we always want to keep on coming back to this surplus as you play with the numbers, because some people say, well, do I have to pay every $16.50 an hour? I remember that coming up last time. And the answer is no. It can be different rates for different people depending on their skill levels, right?
Definitely.
Some people say that their morning routine is really duty and requires somebody with a certain skill level that's pretty high. So we're aware there are some people that pay $18 or $19 an hour, but maybe pay $15 an hour for the other parts of the day, right? So,
right. And that's where this actually here comes in handy, because you can just play with the numbers.
Yeah, you just change the names a little bit. But it's nice, what's nice about this spreadsheet. Let's go to the next one. We'll finish up the numbers, and then we'll come back to one more little thing with the spreadsheet. So again, with 6 hours, so if you're needing 9 hours a day, you could stretch your dollars an hour. More difficult to hire staff, of course. So no one should think, and we don't want the health authority to think that this is okay to pay somebody 6 hours of support for 9 hours. That is putting us at risk in regards to getting good quality people, right? But, as people with disabilities, we have to do what we have to do to make it and survive, right? So if we can 6 hours a day, these are some ways to be able to do it. It means that you as an individual now has to do a lot of work in regards to keeping your employees happy, right? And to, it's your personality and things that are going to shine to make them want to stay with you if your wages are going to be lower. The reality is people have to pay their bills, and they have, and they're worth the $22 an hour. I know that the attendants out there, they work so hard, but at the same time, we also need to make it work for us.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, we have a little friend coming in here. Not yet.
Hi.
So what I wanted to show you here too, in some cases, if you were getting maybe 8 hours a day, and you're somebody who requires overnight shifts, what you can do is you might be able to pay what we call a night sitter, and then you can pay somebody for a flat rate for the nights, right? So this spreadsheet allows you to put another, if you see where it says and you go across, there's another employer reference. So come up a little bit, Fernando. So at the beginning of the yellow section there, where you are now, go up a bit, there's and, right? So here it allows you, so this left side focuses on the hourly rate. You can change this though, and delete it all. Go ahead and delete
this.
Delete all these numbers on the left end. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
And delete these also?
You can just delete them as well, just so it's not confusing. So what's nice here is that now you can put also flat rates on the right side. So if you're going to have an overnight person, so here it can be Billy, right? Billy, or where?
Billy's right there.
Or next one, or yeah. So there's Billy, and you go over one, and say, let's see, one more over. So number of days that he works. So maybe he'll work 3 nights for you, right? And you go to the next one over, and you're going to pay them, $80 a night, right?
Now, is there going to be a bed for him?
Let's go. That's a good question. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's go above the 3 nights now, and to Jane, and say that she's going to do another 3 nights at $80. And then we go up again to Ann, for one night at $80. So now, for this particular person, we're just going to use an example with the 6 hours a day, right? Is that was the most important thing was their night times, not the daytimes. Maybe they have family people that are helping during the day, but we use this as an example.
There's no one.
But what's nice, what we can do now is we'll go down to the bottom, and probably for $80, the person just needs to roll you over once in the night, or maybe twice, maybe a little bit of putting you to bed kind of thing. But let's look to the right and see how much surplus we have left. $1,000 still left surplus. Now we back and kind of go, okay, how many hours can we do, right? So we'll go to Roger for a second, and we'll put Roger down doing 14 hours. That's 2 hours a day. And let's say that he's going to be paid $16 an hour. Okay? So that's 2 hours a day during the day. Now let's go back down to our surplus. And this is where the fun comes in, right? You just kind of keep on playing with it. So we still here of $800, right? So now we can go back over here to Chantel, and let's do another 7 hours here at $16 an hour. And now let's go back here. So now we're at 3 hours a day. So what we were able to do is able to purchase 3 hours a day, plus have an overnight shift of $80. You know, again, so it just allows us to play with this spreadsheet. It's a really nice spreadsheet. It's something that Vancouver Coastal and Fraser Health Authority utilize as well. This is the most up-to-date, so it includes the statutory holiday, the family day and stuff, because that just changed over, right?
Yes.
So, again, so play with this a little bit, and I'll answer the question. What was your question again? It was about providing a bed. Yeah, we were talking about night shifts and stuff. So again, it just depends on the circumstances. If somebody is doing a 24-hour live-in position, it's good to try to provide a bed.
Yes, yeah.
In my particular situation, well, lots of different people's situations. So some people have a one-bedroom, for example, and aren't able to necessarily provide a separate room, but they have a pull-out couch and a private wall that can go up, kind of thing. So and it just depends if they're just coming in for the night shift, right? Sometimes they're putting you to bed first anyways, right? And if you physically can't get in and out of bed, then they would have their own privacy in the living room anyways, right? So everybody's different, right? You know, if you've got the space of a second room or a third room,
they're perfectly safe.
It's really good. So again, so I wanted to bring this up because I didn't think I got into it as in depth in regards to how to play with it. And I think this would help now. Later on, we'll come back to this again, because then we can play with some of the expenses that we can throw into this as well.